Welcome, race fans, to Moose Racing's From the Garage. My name is Josh. This is Moose Racing Pro Support Carl. We're going to be with you for the next 20 to 25 minutes. We're going to talk about racing action that is actually back. GNCC got going last weekend, but before we get to that, let's talk about some of the other series that were involved with Carl. They came out with some modified schedules. The Work Series is going to pick it up this weekend with side-by-sides and ATVs, and then motorcycles the next week. Then we've got ATV motocross taking place in Washington, Georgia, coincidentally right where GNCC was last week. And then Supercross came out with kind of a weird schedule. They got a 7-round, almost gauntlet going on inside of 3 weeks, if I understand that correctly, all out at Rice Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City. What do you know about that? Have you talked to our Rock River guys about that?
Yeah, so the team guys are getting ready to go out there. I believe the Phoenix Racing Honda team is also going to go with a couple guys. They're going to run the East Coast Series on the 250s. And then Rock River guys are kind of, at this point, it's by invitation only. I think they're taking 40 riders. And you have to be within the top 40 to actually get invited to go race. Also, I've heard that there's real strict protocols for the race. You have to be staying in the designated hotels. You can't go anywhere. Once you leave, you have to go be in quarantine to come back. So I think it's going to be kind of strict for the guys as far as that goes. And also, I think 3 weeks of racing in one venue is going to be tough for the guys, with injuries, bike problems, trying to get different setups, the organizers to change the tracks for different races. So, yeah, I think that's going to be really interesting. It's going to be cool to see.
Is that their plan to change the track up as this goes? Because it sounds like they're going to have a race almost like every 4 days or 5 days. They're going to change this up that often?
Yeah, they're not running the same circuit for the whole time.
That would be boring.
I guess they're going to run it in reverse and change up the jumps and the layouts and start area. So I don't know exactly what the plan is, but it's going to be interesting to see what they can come up with in short space of time.
That will be interesting. It's kind of surreal, but I guess that's the times we're living in. Let's go back to the Work Series. We've got the Chaparral team out there and team manager Robbie Bell. Have you talked to him as far as what they're doing to prepare to pick up the racing season again?
So none of those guys are ready to go. They've been wanting to race.
Oh, it's one of the hazards of doing this in the warehouse at Parts Unlimited because that's where we're at. But whatever, we're going to roll with it. So what were you saying?
They're ready to race. They've been waiting on a confirmed date as to when it's going to be. I believe it's going to be at Glen Helen, the first round that they're going to have back. We're going to have to wait and see as to what happens with that.
Okay, cool. Well, hey, racing's back. I'm stoked about it. I know everybody else is pretty happy about it in whatever form it comes in. So we did have racing this last weekend in Washington, Georgia with the GNCC. They called it the Bulldog. I think that's a new name. I don't think they've ever pulled that out before. So let's talk about that. I got some feedback from a couple of riders. They said the track was actually pretty good. It was a lot different than it was 2 months ago where it was pretty wet and sloppy, but it was pretty dry. But it was okay, I guess.
Right. The guys said that it turned really dusty towards the end of the race. Unfortunately, we had Ricky Russell with a bad injury. I spoke to team manager Barry yesterday, and he said that Ricky had surgery to repair a severed artery in his leg. He doesn't have any broken bones at this point, so it's all, muscular and cuts and bruises. But Ricky sounds like he'll be good, and we wish him a speedy recovery.
Definitely. If we get any updates, we'll definitely post. That was a pretty scary injury as far as bike. I mean, it was sort of a freak accident thing. He got tangled up with Caleb Russell, who he was riding with pretty well through the race, and just got tangled up. One of those things.
Right. So Barry Hawk said that Ricky basically caught Caleb towards the end of the race. They got the white flag, and Ricky went for a pass. Got by Caleb. Caleb passed him back, and then the lines sort of came together and they tangled bars. Apparently, Ricky's bar went into the side of Caleb's bike, and Ricky ended up in a tree. And I guess the abrupt stop is what actually his handlebar went into his leg, and that's what the injury was.
Wow, that's really scary. So yeah, we hope he does well, and we hope he recovers. Man, the guy's just had some bad luck for the last couple of years, which kind of sucks because he's a hell of a rider. He's a really good rider.
Right. I think he's kind of got it all together at this point. He's happy where he's at. He's comfortable. He's on a good bike this year. He's fast as heck, and I guess for him to charge towards the end of the race on Caleb is a good thing. And it sucks that he's injured now and he's going to be out for a while again. So let's hope he'll be back before the end of the season so he can actually put that bike on the top step of the podium.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's talk about some of the GNCC race results that we did. We actually had a pretty decent showing this week with our riders, so we're going to run through some of that. The XC1 you were just talking about with Ricky in his race. You see him down there at the bottom because he got injured. But the surprise, Lane Michael up there in third. I mean, he's definitely got the ability to do this, but it's been a while since he's been on the podium, but he did a great job this weekend.
Right, so I haven't actually spoken to Lane or Randy Hawkins, but for Lane, that's great. It's his first year on the Yamaha, and I think he's still kind of settling into a good rhythm at this point. He's one of those guys that you can never discard, and he likes the technical tracks, and I believe the track got really technical towards the end of the race where with dust and lappers and obstacles. So it played into Lane's favor, and it's great for him.
That's cool. And then we see, oops, I hit the wrong one. Then we see Andrew DeLong. He was in there in seventh with he's on the Phoenix Honda team, and then Ricky back there in ninth. But yeah, good showing for Lane in the XC1. So let's move on to XC2 over here. We got some pretty good representation. I put Craig DeLong up there, even though he's running for Team Husky. He's not wearing our gear, but he's still one of our guys, I guess. So we'll cheer him.
Right. Craig's been a Moose rider for a pretty long time, and unfortunately this year we kind of lost him to the factory Husky team, which is great for Craig, and we're super happy for him. Ryder Lafferty, man, pulled it out of nowhere, and you never expect that guy to put it on the box, and I guess the off season's been good for him, time to regroup, and everything played in his favor.
I think sometimes these breaks, they have a real beneficial factor for some of these guys that maybe you don't normally see up in the front, but that break really kind of gets their mind ready and it gets them refocused. So let's run down this. Mike Wachowski, he's always up there in the front this year. He's had a great season. And then Cody, who made the jump from XC3 to XC2, he's been really consistent in this class.
Right, so Cody's like super fast and you can never discount him. I believe he had a little bit of bike issues, and it kind of hindered him towards the end of the race. I believe he had to stop and do some running repairs. So yeah, it's a good result for Cody.
That's cool. Yeah, so all right, I did it again. One of these days I'll figure it out. Okay. Let's cut over to the quads and look at the XC1 where we've got lots of guys and stuff, and we got Cole Richardson again, Mr. Consistent, taking second place. Bryson Neal again, he's up there towards the front, just off the podium, and then we got bunched up with Borich, McGill, and McClure. What did you hear from any of these guys as far as how that race went?
Yeah, so Cole had a really good race. I believe not without incident. He had some issues earlier on, and then came back strong towards the end of the race. So Bryson actually had some front brake issues. I guess he was running up front for most of the race, and then sort of end of lap 1 or 2, he had issues with the front brake and basically rode the rest of the race with no front brake, just rears, and that's tough on a quad.
That's kind of nutty. That's a lot of weight pushing on the front of that thing. So, and some of those turns, I mean, we were in Washington. I mean, they're all GNC tracks are like this, but there's some scary turns down there. So
Right, trees, washes, river crossings. So
Right.
yeah,
cool. Okay, so let's move on to XC2. Drew Landers. There's a little bit of controversy in this one. He's won the first 3 rounds, and then the fourth round he won. He didn't win. What exactly did you hear happened down there?
so feedback from the team was that Drew was actually in the lead on the last lap. Um, Somehow Austin's transponder wasn't working, and Austin came through the finish on corrected time, apparently in front of Drew. Um, there's some questions about that after the race, but without the transponder working, they couldn't prove anything. So it's kind of tough. And, Drew had to take the second place, which sucks for him. He was on a winning streak this year. Like, he wanted to do the 4 in a row at this point. But, yeah, he's still up in the lead of the overall points.
Yep, he's definitely got a pretty commanding lead at this point. So I mean, he'll be fine going forward. But it just you don't want to see that, whether it's your guy or not. It's kind of a wonky way to end a race. But
Right.
let's cut over to the WXC with the motorcycles. We got Tayla in second place and Rachel in third. She's quickly becoming a contender up there. She came back from New Zealand. She's pretty consistent this season.
Right. So I spoke to Randy last week, and he said that basically Rachel was on a flight on her way back. She had like 4 different stops and 3 different flights to catch to get back to the US. And yeah, hats off to Rachel with a great ride after such a long trip with jet lag and all of that.
Definitely. And then Rachel Gudish is right behind her, and Brooke jumped up into the top 5. So you got some pretty good representation up there in the top 5. Becca Sheets this year she's on a tear.
Yeah, Becca seems to have stepped it up a notch, and everybody's going to have to do some homework to catch up with her.
Yep. Well, we're gonna have a little talk a little bit later with Tayla Jones, who you see in second right there, is second in overall, but the 3-time defending champ. So she's definitely got it in her, and we'll see what she has to say about chasing down Becca this year. It's kind of a role reversal as the last few years.
Right. So our goals have been great this year. We've got some really good representation. Brooke Hosden has stepped up on a new machine. She's on a show code this past weekend, and it seems to be working out for her. She's had some bike issues in the past few years and never quite live up to potential, but hopefully she can actually do it on this new machine.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Let's cut over to the quads with WXC, and there's our girl Caitlin Osborne up top. She had, from what I read and what I heard, pretty dominant race. She killed it from the get-go.
So the first 3 rounds this year, Kate's been having horrible starts and having to come from basically last on the gate and work her way through. This weekend, apparently, she had a better start and had some clear traffic to run the first few miles. And then, yeah, I mean, it's great for Kate to be up on the top step of the box. It's awesome.
Definitely. It's awesome. I mean, she's got that potential every week. Her and Hannah and Tracy just kind of go back and forth every week. So
Right.
that's a tough class. Let's look at some of the standings. You got the XC1. Ricky dropped one, obviously, and he's going to be injured. But Lane jumped up a couple spots from last week with that 3rd place win, so that's pretty cool. Let's take a look also at I'll find it. There we go. The XC1 Pro ATV. You got Cole still in second, but look at that 4th place tie that came out of that result of that cluster from last weekend with Bryson, Boric, and McClure all sitting there at 68 points, and McGill still sitting in 6th. He actually had a pretty good showing this week too.
Yeah, I spoke to Adam yesterday. He said he had a good start and he was running up front for a couple laps, and then apparently he said he just got gassed. Conditions were hot. He didn't quite expect it to be that this weekend. Also, you got to understand it's really hard for these guys to be on call. They didn't know exactly when they were going to race. they've had almost 7 weeks off now before this race got announced. So it was a last minute preparation to get back to everything. And yeah, I think for what it is, it's going to make it interesting going forward this season.
Okay, let's cut back. Let's go over to the standings for WXC motorcycle. Tayla in second. Rachel, she's like I said, she's been pretty consistent this year. She's creeping up there. She's in the top five. Brooke had a big push this last weekend by getting her top five, and you said she's on the Sherco, so maybe we'll see some better things from her coming out. And then Allie and Jocelyn down there, they had a couple of rough races. I was reading on them. They had a tough race.
Right. So bunch of crashes, dealing with the dust. It's hard for those girls when they race their 10 a.m. race with the guys. They got some really fast sportsman A guys coming from behind, and tough for the younger girls. Like Jocelyn is doing great. She stepped it up from the juniors this year into the XEW class, and yeah, great result for them.
Okay, yeah, they'll be hanging on. I mean, they're learning. They're young, but they'll get there. They got some good ones ahead of them to try to key in on. So,
Right.
All right, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna have the three-time WXC champ Tayla Jones, and we're gonna talk to her, see what it was like to get back out there and race, and get her overall feeling on what the shutdown was like, and some other things. So, come on back.
I'm Cole Kirkpatrick with Gnarly Roots. Today I'm excited to talk about the all-new Agroid line of racewear from Moose Racing. Last year's Agroid line was just the M1 gear and chassis with different graphics. This all-new Agroid racewear has an athletic fit and was designed with performance in mind. I've been wearing this Agroid gear for the last month and have been blown away with the fit and feel of it while I'm riding. It's non-restrictive and it moves easily. It's got laser cut holes in the pants and jersey for venting, and the pants have a Velcro strap on the side and the buckle to secure the front so you can get the fit that you need. I'm 6'3", I wear a 32 pant and a large jersey, and I have plenty of room in the knee area for my knee braces, and I can still move freely even though it's a form-fitting set of gear. Now, I've been wearing Moose Racing gear since 2003, and this is the most excited that I've been about a set of gear in a long time. And this is by far the most sophisticated and performance-driven gear from Moose Racing. This gear will hit dealers spring of 2020. If you want more information, go to your local dealer or visit mooseracing.com. The pants will retail for $139.95 and the jersey will be $49.95.
We're back on Moose Racing's From the Garage, and now we got three-time WXC champ Tayla Jones with us. How you doing, and what are you doing today? It looks like you're traveling.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm actually on my way back to Texas today. I hung out in Atlanta yesterday, but yeah, I get to drive. Only a couple hours away.
Cool. So GNCC picked back up this last weekend. What was it like to finally be back in competition after about 2 months?
It was weird, but it's definitely awesome. Like, it felt like we're going back into the first round all over again. We've had that much time off, but it was definitely awesome to get back, get to see everyone again. But yeah, it was definitely different compared to the usual. Everyone like being on alert, but it was cool to get back, and I'm excited to continue racing again.
Cool. What was the racing conditions like? What was the track like? What the whole COVID-19 with the restrictions? What was that like?
So yeah, we're back at Aonia Pass again, where we did the race before all of this happened. The track was different. It was dry this time, so that was complete change. Last time it was fairly muddy and very ruddy, but this time it was extremely hard pack, a lot of blue groove, and really dusty. We couldn't see too much, but it wasn't too much different in the pits and stuff with the COVID going on. A few people had some masks, and we tried to stay spread out. The GNCC race team tried to make sure all the precautions were taken to not put anyone at risk. So that was really good, but it was different and strange in some ways, but it was cool to just be back at the races and everyone together again.
Sometimes that morning race that you run in, I mean, I've seen it. They've had 900 riders or something. I think at Crawfordsville one time they had it. What was it like? How many riders were riding in that 10 a.m. race?
I'm not sure how many there ended up being, but it was definitely a lot bigger than the last time we were in Georgia. I think everyone just wanted to be back at the races, so everyone anyone close or around the area just showed up to be there and say they went and raced again. But it was pretty hectic. The morning race was crazy.
What were the lappers like? In the dusty conditions.
It was pretty bad. The racetrack was really fast, so the main line was the fastest line, and that's the line obviously everyone was taking, lappers and everything. It was really hard. We couldn't see a whole lot, and everyone, like the amount of lappers there were, they bunched up a heap, so we were overtaking like 10 people at a time instead of just one or two here and there. It was definitely one of the harder races I've done with lappers for sure.
That WXC class, that's gotten really competitive the last couple of seasons, and I think a lot of that has to do with you because you've been dominated, but I think you've been pulling a lot of girls along with you. Do you take any pride in that? Because I really do think that you've had that bullseye on your back for the last few seasons, and they're gunning for you, and it's getting really competitive.
Yeah, for sure. When I come over here, I was at a pace that they weren't really at the time, which it was cool to be able to do. But now we're all stepping it up. I'm getting faster, but they're getting faster too. So it's bringing us a lot closer together and making the competition more intense, which is really cool to see. I like that we're growing, we're getting faster, we're doing it together, but it's making others wanna do it too, and it's showing everyone in the industry that it's not just one person that can ride fast. We can all do it, and it's putting our name out there a lot more. And it's really cool to be able to be at the forefront of that and see how much it's progressing.
To go along with that, we've seen you at the races and stuff, and you get a lot of attention, especially from the young kids and girls in particular. That you're definitely inspiring. What's that mean to you to have that kind of impact on like the next generation coming up?
It's definitely cool. Like when I was a little girl, I'd get to see the other women racing. I was like, I was looking up to them and seeing what they were able to do. And now that I'm at that point, it's definitely an awesome feeling. I love to be around the fans. I love talking to the younger generation or the little girls growing up. I went to the youth start line and made sure I said good luck to all the younger girls on the line, just to show that we were in the same position at some point, and they can do whatever they want and be where I'm at, and it's really cool to see. And I hope that they can see me as an inspiration and want to do what I get to do.
For us as a sponsor, it's kind of cool to see that you really work the industry and you're a role model to younger girls. But talk a little bit about you actually drive yourself to the races. You maintain your own practice bike. You do a lot of stuff by yourself where guys kind of think that you live the rock star life, and it's really not like that.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone sees me at the races and they're like, yeah, she shows up, she has a bike, she's factory, she gets whatever. But it's definitely not like that behind the scenes. Yeah, I get to drive to all the races. I'm living in Texas right now, so it's like 13 to 15 hours depending on where we go. And yeah, I get to work on my own bikes. I pull my camper, I show up, I make sure I'm prepared as best as I can be by myself. But then, yeah, it's the behind the scenes stuff that no one gets to see. It's definitely not an easy sport. The amount of training we do in general, but then the other parts like the payment of it all. I'm not factory. I don't get salary. I don't get all the money. So it's not just the lifestyle living like a rock star. It's hard at some points, but it's worth it and it's fun.
That's cool. You mentioned something about training. Let's back up a little bit to before the shutdown and everything. What'd you do during that shutdown to stay on top of your game?
It wasn't too bad. Obviously, like the gyms and stuff shut down, so that made it harder. I'm still able to get outside and cycle, so that's been a big benefit. Like cycling is the main part of our training, so we get to continue doing that. Do some kind of workouts at home, body movements, that kind of stuff. I did a lot of mental training, which has been good. Racing is half mental. probably even more than that. It takes a lot of mindset to be on top of your game. So it was really good to be able to take a step back and just work on that side of things also.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're right. The mental part of it's got to be huge. I mean, you got to be ready every week just to go for it. And you got to keep your head, especially you guys are racing 2 hours. This isn't like a quick 12, 15-minute race like you do in motocross. This is long, enduring, beat you down, beat you up, different types of conditions. So, yeah, I bet the mental's huge in it.
Yeah, for sure. If you're not going into it the right mindset, you're not at the midway point. You're already out of the game. You need to be prepared for anything that can happen in a long 2 hours of racing.
Definitely. Let's change gears a little bit here. I'll talk about ISDE. How many times did you win that? 3 times with Australia?
I've won it 6 times with
6
Australia.
times, okay.
Two
No,
times
my research
individually.
sucks. Anyway, you're not doing it this year. It's postponed anyway. You weren't scheduled to do it. But what's that experience like, and what did you take from that to apply to your GNCC and full gas sprints and National Enduro and all the things that you've won and been successful at? What did you take from that experience?
The 6 day is an incredible experience. Just to be able to say that you've raced for your country is amazing. But just going there in a different country every time and everyone showing up, all the fastest people in the world, it's really cool to bring everyone together in one place. It's kind of it's the Olympics of motorsports, like off road. It's really cool to be able to say that I've done it, but to be able to go there and say that we've won and stood on the top step as a team for my country is probably the most incredible experience I've been able to do. It helps for the other things, like the other races I do, especially that going back to mindset, to be able to race for 6 days, incredibly hard, 8 hours a day on the bike in muddy conditions, raining. It's been freezing cold, and sometimes we're in the middle of the desert and it's boiling hot. And we just to be able to finish a day of the 6 days is one of the toughest things you could ever do. But to be able to do it 6 days in a row it's definitely a tough experience. So going back to a GNCC from something like that, it's to be able to finish 2 hours is like, okay, that's not as bad as doing 6 days of treacherous stuff. But I know everything joins together. It's all different styles of racing, but if you put them all together, you can be good at all of it.
That 6 day probably really helps on the mental aspect. If you have to reach back to that, like you're saying, it's only 2 hours in GNCC. My God, I did 6 days in God knows what conditions. So that makes a lot of sense. We all know Tayla Jones, the fastest woman in the world, but what's something that fans don't know about you?
Everyone sees me at the races and I'm there to go fast and do that kind of stuff, but I really enjoy just like taking a step back and reading books and meditating, doing that side of things. Like it's a whole different kind of lifestyle, I guess. There's not the adrenaline side, it's a whole, like, we just slow down and relax, and I really enjoy being able to do that in a different way. Like, I am very fast-paced lifestyle. I love being out on the bike, doing fun things outside, whatever, but I also enjoy being able to sit down with a book and just do that instead.
So you definitely got to have a balance. I think everybody needs to have a balance. So, yeah, you got the craziness on the track, but then you chill out and do some other things, too. That's cool. Before we let you go, just one more question. If you could race on one track anywhere, any style of racing, what would it be?
Honestly, I'd like to go back to my roots with motocross. I spoke to Carl about this, and I'd love to show up at Loretta's. It was on the bucket list since I was a little kid. I grew up racing motocross, and that's the number one thing I wanted to do is go and race Loretta's. So hopefully one day we'll be able to tick that off, and I'll be able to get out there and see what I can do on a motocross track.
I think we need to make that happen, Carl.
Yep.
What do you think?
In the near future.
I think we should do that. Everything's kind of up in the air. Why not throw you into Loretta's? I think that would be awesome. So,
Yep.
All right. Hey, we want to thank you. We want to make sure you get back to Texas safe and have a safe drive, and then we'll see you at the next event. When is the next event? Is it 2 weeks in South Carolina?
Yep. It's supposed to be at Camp Coker, South Carolina.
Okay.
So let's see
That's
if
a familiar
happens.
place. Okay, cool. Hey, Tayla, thanks a lot for joining us on here, and definitely we'll keep watching you through the season.
Thank you, guys. See you guys soon.
See ya.
champ.
We're going to take a break now. We're going to come back with some product spotlight and a chance for you guys to win something. So come on back.
It's no secret that Moose Racing makes the best gear for the intensity of off-road racing.
Doesn't matter if I'm battling the sun and heat at the Wild Boar GNCC in Florida,
or dealing with all 4 seasons at Ironman. And that's why on race weekends, I wear my M1 racewear,
Sahara gear,
M1 Agroid racewear,
Or qualifier gear to represent the industry leader.
Okay, we're back. I want to thank you for checking us out here on Moose Racing's From the Garage, or I may call it From the Warehouse if we get any more interruptions from the intercom, but it is what it is. It's a hazard of shooting here where we're at. So I want to show you the new goggles we have. They're actually just a rebrand of some goggles we've had for the last couple of years, the XCR Hatch. They're a little cleaner look. They've got the same features, the removable nose, the large eye port, you know, the silicone strip to hold your helmet and stuff like that. And these are pretty great goggle for the price point. They're what, about $50?
Correct.
Okay, so the cool thing about these, though, is something that we're introducing that we've been asked about for, I don't know, a number of years. I hear about it every time we go to the track and we break these out, is something that Carl's going to show you.
So we've got the tear-off system for those. We've also got the new laminated tear-offs for those, which a lot of the guys like. But we've also just introduced the roll-off system for them. It comes in a box complete with clear lanes. Already attached to it is the actual roll-off system. In the canisters come the clear film. You also get a spare film in the box, and along with that, the mud flap that fits on the top of the film to stop water and mud sliding down underneath the film. The lens has a perforated edge to stop the film from actually sticking to the lens when you're pulling the film across. So what's good on our system is also it has a rubber knob on the end of the string, which stops from slapping back. And also a lot of guys on different brands of goggles, they break these and then the string actually goes inside the canister and they stop working. So great price point, great addition to our family of goggles. Also they'll be available within the next month.
Okay, so cool. Yeah, we'll have those up on our website. Your dealers will have them. You'll be able to get them online through various dealers. But right now, we got these in my hand, and I'm going to give you a chance to win these like we did last week with the helmet, which, by the way, you guys didn't follow the rules. Nobody tagged 2 people and shared the video. So let's try it again with the goggles. I'm going to give you a pair of goggles. All you got to do is tag 2 friends in the comments underneath this video and then share the video, and then we'll pick a winner. And we'll get these out to you. We got, how many colors we got of these?
There's 4 different colorways.
4 different colors. So we'll get you whatever color you want. So just, that's all you got to do. It was pretty tough to do last week apparently, but whatever. It was our first time out, so maybe we'll have better luck this time. So, and we'll try the helmet again down the road. So keep watching. But until then, we want to thank Tayla Jones for joining us. We're really stoked GNCC Racing's back. Next time we'll talk about probably the ATV motocross and Joel Hetrick and see where he falls this coming weekend. But
right.
We'll have plenty to talk about coming back to racing. Thank God, because I was going to reach for stuff to talk about. I don't know about you. So, so until then, we want to thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.